are here for a special Sunday night edition of college football. Guys, I'm here with Joe and Alex. How are you guys doing today?
Well,
I don't know
I'm
what
great.
to start with.
Doing great. Michigan won this weekend. I'm doing fantastic.
I love the repping. It's great.
Yep, can't
Alex?
complain here. Good weekend of football. Enjoyed the games. Went 2-1 picking games. Lost my pick of the week on a frustrating, deeply despicable backdoor cover by Navy against SMU, but that's okay. You know, things are going well. I think I'm 16-8 on these videos this year, which that's going to be a tough rate of return to keep for an entire season, but I don't see any reason the magic carpet ride has to end this week, so let's stick with it. Let's try to keep winning.
I love that reference. I am now in the losing column, so I'm hoping to get back this week. But me and little Eli did cover for the Giants. We did win money line. It was plus 200. We're very excited about it. Other than that, let's talk about that SMU game. Me and you both agreed on that spread, and it was just an awful backdoor cover. But I'll let you take it from there.
Well, I mean, it was awful. This is no fun when you've got a team that's winning by 20. The spread is, I think, 11.5, and there's 5 minutes left, and then they give up 2 garbage time touchdowns, including one in the last minute. No fun. That's not the experience that we're looking for when we pick football games. But hey, we move forward.
It is not. I mean, at least did that help hit the over? I don't even know what the total was. I was very focused on the spread.
They did a run play with no timeouts and 4 seconds left. So it was literally, if they were to be tackled, the game would have ended. But he got in.
All right, Joe. On that note, I'm going to start with you today. Show us what your picks are.
Yeah, so the first one I'm rolling with this week is going to be Rice -2 or money line. I like either one against a Louisiana Tech team. Louisiana Tech is really bad. They're one of the worst teams in the conference, and they haven't really played that well as a small underdog or a small favorite. They covered earlier in the season against Clemson as 30-point underdogs, and this Louisiana Tech team is just not very good. Rice, on the other hand, Rice has shown flashes of being a very solid team in this conference. They covered this weekend at FAU. They did lose straight up, but they got the cover. They beat UAB earlier in the season. This Rice team has played some really close games against better opponents. They also almost beat Houston on the road. And I know we've talked some crap about Houston on the show, but Houston is a much better team in caliber compared to Rice. And Rice were 17.5-point underdogs and had them on the ropes for most of that game. So I think Rice is being a little undervalued here. I think this line is kind of giving them the notion that they're the same Rice from before. This Rice team is a little different. They've shown a lot of improvements, and the Louisiana Tech is just going in the complete opposite direction. So I like Rice -2 or money line here. And then the next one I'm rolling with is going to be Arkansas State at +7. Another team who has played a very similar schedule as Rice, and they played a really tough schedule. They played Ohio State on the road. They played Memphis on the road. They played JMU on the road. Their record does not indicate how good they are, and they're a very solid squad. They're 2-5, and they play ULL, Louisiana Lafayette team, who's coming off a big underdog win this week against Marshall. And this is just a perfect letdown spot to fade Louisiana Lafayette. They're down to their second or third string quarterback. And really the only reason why Lafayette was able to win this week was just because Marshall has proved to be a very inept team on the offensive end. They simply cannot score. Arkansas State has a very potent offense with James Blackman, former Florida State quarterback, who's finally starting to figure it out in that offense. I think Arkansas State can keep this within a touchdown or win straight up.
All right, well, I love to hear it, and you got your Michigan gear on, so I feel like we got some winning picks here.
Let's hope.
All right, Alex, it is now your turn.
Yeah, sure. I'll go 3 picks here before we do picks of the week. Joe, you mentioned Houston and how they're a better caliber team than Rice. I agree. And look, we have talked badly about them this year. They've deserved it. I don't think they're very good. However, I'm going to take them -3 at Navy this week. I'm fading Navy for a second week in a row, going back to the well, even though I got burned on that backdoor cover. I think that Navy is still pretty ripe to be overvalued in betting markets. 2 weeks ago, they had a really kind of breakthrough game against Tulsa. You get excited about that. But the problem was that Tulsa just has no idea year after year how to defend the triple option for Navy. It's a recurring problem for Phil Montgomery's teams. This past weekend, Navy gets that backdoor cover with some meaningless touchdowns. I think if people weren't following that game very closely, you look at Navy getting into the 30s again, scoring and moving the ball in a way that they haven't for most of the year. But this was very, very flukish. I do not think they're a very good team. Houston has a significant talent advantage, and at just a field goal, and I think even at 4, I feel very, very good about Houston's ability to go into Annapolis and cover. I just don't think the Navy is going to be able to move the ball consistently. And it's worth noting that the last couple of years, they've run the ball in the 3 yards per carry range against Houston. Over in the Big Ten, Indiana is playing Rutgers. I am on Rutgers laying.
Love it. Just wanted to throw that out from the tri-state area. Love that pick. Continue.
Absolutely. This is a fade Indiana spot for me, as Joe would say. I hope that Rutgers, and I expect that Rutgers is going to show a little bit of life under a new offensive coordinator. They just fired Sean Gleason. Nunzio Campanile, I hope I'm saying that right, Melissa, is
I hope
now
so
the
too.
offensive coordinator for Rutgers here. Pretty simple rationale. Rutgers defense is the best unit on either team by a wide margin. Indiana's defense is gettable even for a very bad Rutgers offense. I think Rutgers will score a few points in this game. But on the other hand, I just don't see how Indiana's going to do that. Their offense looks to me to be overmatched in this game. And I think that's a program going in the wrong direction. I'm delighted to be able to fade them at something less than a field goal here. Georgia Southern and Old Dominion, I'm going under here. I had the rare over pick, which was successful for me last week with Clemson and Florida State. I'm going back to unders here at 68. Number is just a bit big for me. I think the reason it's high is that both of these teams play with a bit of pace. They like to run a lot of plays, but the offenses just aren't that good. They're not that effective, even if they are fast. ODU just had kind of an outlier point total against a coastal team, Coastal Carolina, that melted down and just did not look like itself. Southern has a pretty good passing game, surprisingly so, in Clay Helton's first year, but really does not chunk the ball down the field. They're not making a lot of big plays. I think it's going to take a while to score points in this game. There will be points, but I do not see the justification for them coming fast enough for it to be 68. That's a big number. I think something, 60, 61, 62 feels like a more appropriate total for this game.
Okay, with that being said, Alex, I'm going to start calling you the king of totals. Your pick of the week involves a total with a game that I almost picked on the spread, and I was like, you know what? This is way too dangerous. I want to stay completely away from it. It's the Texas Longhorns game. What do you got for us for your pick of the week?
Yeah, I'm going under here yet again. The number that I have this at, that I picked this at, is 65.5. It's just a high number to me. Oklahoma State has a really strong defense, not as much so as it did last year under Jim Knowles, who's now the coordinator at Ohio State. Derek Mason is in. They got themselves into a bit of trouble at the end of the game against a very potent TCU offense just this past Saturday. But I think that they are going to be a little bit more organized this week. I think that Oklahoma State under Mike Gundy has a track record of really mucking it up with Texas, making Texas have a miserable experience, whether Texas can win or not. Gundy has a great defensive track record. His teams have a great defensive track record against the Longhorns. I think that the Texas defense, for its part, has come on into some form that it really hadn't shown for most of the early season. Don't get me wrong. This is, the Texas offense is the thing that scares you here with Quinn Ewers back on the field. But we saw it against Iowa State on Saturday. They still tend to get themselves into low-scoring games fairly often. Their game against Alabama earlier in the year in week 2 certainly met that criteria. So I just think that we're going to see less of a shootout, less of kind of a rootin' points fest in the Big 12 than you might be used to. And I like the under here. I think it's the value pick at 65.5.
All right. Wow. I just have one thing to say. Horns up. I'm still rooting for the Texas Longhorn. My boy Arch Manning is going there. Ah! I've been told, guys, we've got to learn how to just make sure how does it go? What do you do this, right? I got it.
It's a technique thing, Melissa. You just got to kind of go.
I'm very new to this. One of the Mannings who just signed on to play for them, so I'm learning. Everyone's learning here. It's a learning process. Speaking of Mannings, Joe, I'm going to spoil your pick a little here. You're picking my boy's alma mater, his dad's alma mater. I'm just very excited about it. So go ahead. I'll let you take it away.
I am rolling with Ole Miss money
There
line
we go.
as my play of the week. I was a little surprised that this line came out. I think it's moved to a pick'em now, and I even saw some LSU -2s earlier. I was a little shocked at that line. I had this graded more as Ole Miss -4, -4.5. I've been very impressed with Ole Miss this season. I really love the way that they run the ball. They have a trio or three-headed monster of running backs with Zach Evans and Quinshot or Judkins, or however you say his name. Quinshon Judkins, I think is how you say his name. Those two guys have been incredible in the backfield for Ole Miss this year. And Jackson Dart really has not had to do that much simply because they run the ball so well. And they're still putting up 40 and 50 points on everyone, simply just running the ball. LSU, and it works out in my favor as well because this is a great angle to fade LSU off of a blowout win at Florida, which was a kind of a funky line in itself. LSU was only +3 at Florida. That was a little bit of a weird line. So now it's coming back. LSU's getting a little bit more respect on the lines. They're playing a little better. Ole Miss, the line is a little smaller, shorter because Ole Miss is on the road. I mean, at home, this would be -7.5, and you're simply getting a shorter line only because they're playing in a tougher environment. I don't think that's going to play a factor here. I like the fade angle on LSU. I like the back angle on Ole Miss. It's kind of an all worlds align angle on Ole Miss this week, so I think they get out of here with a win.
It's actually like a fun game because the Mannings are actually from Louisiana, and now they're playing what is like the central alma mater. I don't care where Peyton went, Tennessee. Just saying. I don't care where Arch is going. I think this is like the school for them. I love Ole Miss. I am so about it. The Rebels, I can't get better than that. So this is an exciting pick, and I will be tailing. Not that it matters. I just wanted to throw it out there. Okay, as for me, I feel like we have like some synchronicity here because I am taking a Giants pick, and the synchronicity is that, Eli Giants. What are you going to do? Anyways, I am going with Happy Valley. I wanted to take Penn State. I'm very curious about your guys' opinion. They're playing the Golden Gophers. So we've got the Golden Gophers. They are +4. We're taking Penn State at -4. Maybe even bet it down to -3 just to save us, because I have been on a little bit of a slump here. So I want to get back, and I'll take a push before I take a loss. So that's just a suggestion. Minnesota has been on a spiral and not in a good way. They've lost quite a few games recently. And worst comes worst, we'll get a push if they do win by a field goal. But I just feel like Penn State has this. They've been doing great. Got to shout out my boy Saquon, who did great today. And we're going to be a little biased in this one. What do you think?
I was a little surprised that this line was only like -4, especially considering
Tanner Morgan. They lost to Michigan.
Especially considering
look at that.
Tanner Morgan might be hurt. He left the game late with an injury. He's a very good quarterback, very experienced. He manages the offense well for their running game. And I don't really know his status yet. I would wait to see that. But if you like Penn State now, I would definitely bet it now.
Before it changes,
if he's out, that's probably going to go to -7, -7.5, because he's like a sixth-year guy. I don't know how much depth they have at that position. And I do like the Penn State backing them off a tough loss on the road. So I like Penn State right now. I like that angle.
Yeah, they're at Happy Valley. This is the revenge spot. And as Slop would say, one of our very favorite coworkers, we love a revenge game. So, Alex, what do you got for me on this pick?
I think that the process of the time of the week, I agree with Joe, is good. If you're going to do it now. I just wouldn't do it, but I love your aggressive spirit.
I'm sorry I squeaked. I was just so offended.
I like that you're seeing what you want in the world and you're going and getting it. I am skeptical of Penn State, given what I saw from them on Saturday. It wasn't good.
That's fair.
And there is a world in which Minnesota gives them a bad time. There's also a world in which Penn State covers, though. That's the nature of picking games, right?
Yeah, well, we will see what happens. Other than that, just want to throw it out there. Go Giants. It was a beautiful game played today. Guys, did you enjoy NFL Sunday? Just wanted to ask you really quickly because I'm assuming.
Yeah, Falcons won, so it was a good day.
Yeah, no one cares, Joe. Let's talk about the Giants.
All right. See, now every Giants fan is going to be like, we're 5-1. We don't care about any other team.
Yeah, I know that. What's your point? Like, I'm the first Giants fan to do that.
No, ask Alpha. Do you know if you know Alpha Dog Bets? He's one of my good buddies on Twitter, and he is a huge Giants fan. And I'm not hearing the end of it now that they're 5-1. So, but I'm happy they're doing well.
So obnoxious this week,
just
so you know.
Well.
Yeah, a happy Melissa's a happy everybody, and a happy alphabet, I guess. All right, guys. Well, for OddsChecker, I'm your host, Melissa. I am joined by the greatest college football bettors. I hope I just didn't jinx. I'll knock on wood. But I'm joined by Alex and Joe, and we will catch you guys next week, Monday.